Okay, so today I'm going to make what I'm calling stem soup because it is summertime and I have all of these really amazing greens and I want to do things with the stems. And you can do this in the winter too, of course, with broccoli stems. Um, but there's so much goodness in the stems, and a lot of people really don't want to put them in salads because they're a little hard, and crunchy, but if you trim off the ends, they're perfectly good. So I have beet stems here. So I'm just going to take off the little beet part. That part was even a little too hard for soup. And just get your beet stems here, chopped up, and get all those, you have to trim off any of the leaves that are a little too worn, a little too tattered, then you probably don't want to use those. And so I have my bowl here, or my pot, which is like a bowl, and just heating that up, and it's always good to get that on high. So I'm going to kind of separate. I have a few leaves here, so I'm going to separate the leaves a little bit because you really want to add them last because it'll retain a lot more nutrition if the less it's cooked, right? So I have these. This is a beautiful bok choy. I bought this at the market, and I've used all the leaves in my salads. Whoops. So I want to use up all the stems. So again, just finely chop all these wonderful stems with all the goodness in them, and get them sauteing in the pan. Careful not to touch your fingers. And you can, if the ends are a little dry and, not very fresh, then you probably want to leave those out. Okay, so get those stems in. And I have a few of these here. You do definitely want to trim off anything that looks a little too tattered, that's been hanging around the fridge too long. Of course, all my vegetables are washed before they get into the fridge, so there's no worries there. And these are a Chinese green. I actually don't even know what they're called, but they have kind of like a parsley looking leaf on them. And they're a little bit bitter, really good in a salad because the bitterness stimulates the juices. So anything that you eat that's a bitter green is really, really good for digestion. Like even a dandelion green, although you probably won't find too many people that will want to be putting dandelion greens in their salad. So here's a few more of these stems, and these are like the size of asparagus. So these are a little bit bigger, so you kind of want to push them to the bottom of the pan so the bigger pieces hit the surface and start cooking faster. And then just leave these green leafies right here. So I have some beautiful kale here too, and I'm just going to take off the very ends of those and get rid of that. I'm going to add a little bit of kale stems too. I do like kale stems in my salad as well, so I'm not going to take them all. And for flavor, this is another, I have so much kale. This is another chunk of kale. There's probably enough kale, but you know what? Let's just trim these bits off anyways, because they're a little dry. And add a couple different kinds of kale stems. And I only have 2 different kinds of kale stems, which is super awesome. I have some garlic scapes here. Garlic scapes are the ends of the garlic when they curl up and they're almost ready. So I'm just going to trim off the little heads where the seeds would form, or the flowers, and then the seeds would form. I'm going to cut those off. I'm sure you can put them in, but I'm not going to. These are just fantastic. Garlic scapes have such a beautiful, mild garlic taste, and yet super flavorful at the same time. It's really hard to describe. They are absolutely wonderfully amazing. Get these guys in here too. So we've got a great garlic flavor. And of course you can add garlic, you can add onions, you can add whatever you want. You can see this is really, even if you steam this, you don't even have to make it into a soup. Just steam it, add some garlic, and either like an Earth Balance, vegan butter, or a coconut oil, or an olive oil. Even with that would be good. Oh, that was forgot to tell you, that's my onion stem. So you can add in onion stems too. So that will also add flavor. And yeah, if you wanted to just take this, you know what, I'm going to put the whole flour in, why not? But this will, even as a steamed greens, would be fabulous and super healthy for you. You can add a little pepper for color. You always want to think about color because it just makes it that much more appetizing. Even if it tastes good, if it looks good, then that's an addition. And if it looks really good and it doesn't taste that good, then it's really helpful that it looked really good. in my life, looking good looks really good. It makes up for a lot of things that are experiments and maybe don't turn out that great. I have a piece of ginger here. I'm just going to put a couple big slices of ginger to be picked out later. Okay, that's not really to be eaten, but to add flavor. I have a little tomato here, and again, I want all these soft things very fresh when they're eaten so that it retains most of the nutrients, so I'm not going to add those till later. But I'll chop them up right now. Okay, so that's my tomato to add for later. I'm going to add just a little bit of orange pepper, again for color, and a little yellow pepper for color. And I happen to like the peppers cooked. I don't really like them as well raw. I do like them raw, but not, I don't know, not in this dish. So just cut them any old way. There. And get these guys in here. Okay, so I do have a couple broccoli stems here too. And so this is a really tough one. Okay, so you might have to cut it up a little further if it's really tough. And take the little flowers off, and then cut it wherever it's tenderest. And the skins are usually really hard, so I tend to just find a place where it's going to hold still while I cut it, and cut the rough skin off, and then just kind of chop up the centerpiece. There's your broccoli going in there. And then same with this one. So you just find where it's going to hold still for you so you don't cut yourself. And then cut the skin off. So you can tell that's steaming pretty good there. And again, you want things as raw as possible. So you don't need to cook it all day. You don't need to cook it for an hour. You don't really need to cook it very much at all. So just going to add this, and for flavor I'm going to add some Bragg's liquid aminos, so about 4 tablespoons of that. And I am going to add, you could add olive oil or whatever you want, but I'm going to add some coconut oil to it. Actually, let's see, this one. This makes it a really nice flavor too, coconut oil. I'll put that in. Okay, and I always do like to add a little bit of maple syrup, just a bit, about a teaspoon, some Himalayan sea salt, some cayenne pepper. Get that spice in, and this cayenne's so good for circulation, and it's just amazing. Good for you all the way around. So you can see this is really cooking nicely and would probably be good just the way it is. So you can either just saute that until everything's tender and eat the stems. So it could be stem stew, or if you add a liquid, it will turn into stem soup. Which was my original plan, although that looks so good I'm tempted to eat it just the way it is. I'm going to add these tomatoes to it and the greens. And so what I would add for a liquid, you can just do water, which I often do water. That's my hands here. Yeah, you could do water to this, maybe adding a little more Bragg's liquid aminos. But you can see that that's going to make its own veggie broth. So see how nice that is. So what I tend to love to do is add a can of coconut milk to it, and that just adds to the flavor. But the stem needs to be cut. You know what I feel like doing is just eating it like that for the first day and then adding soup or a liquid to it like coconut milk the second day, and you have 2 meals in one. So there you go, that's it. Let that just keep it on high for a couple more minutes and it's ready to go. Alrighty, enjoy. Oh, you can find the recipe at georginasear.com.